Ladies and gentlemen, from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace and Justice, Deacon Gerald Celente.
Hello, everybody. This is Deacon Gerald Celente from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. And remember, we're doing everything we can in every way we can to bring freedom, peace, and justice. In 2 weeks, on September 28th, we're having a big rally up here, Peace and Freedom Rally. Starts at 2 p.m. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Max Blumenthal, Anya Parampil, and others. We're going to have some music, entertainment. There'll be food vendors. What we're trying to do, we want to get enough people here where we're making the news. We have to make the news to stop this because none of the news puts anything on about peace. Peace is a dirty word. But, of course, we are members of Occupy Peace. So go to occupypeace.com, occupypeace.com for more information. And please donate what you can. Could you imagine if these billionaires gave us $1 billion apiece? We'd have it tomorrow. Not a penny. Oh, no, they're going up to space. Yeah, they're in another world. Not the world of the people. Not a penny from the billionaires apiece. Not a penny. If we had $1 billion, we'd have peace tomorrow. I'm heartbroken to see what's going on in the world. The people want peace. It's the politicians that want war. And there it is. Take a good look at it. Look at that mouth with all those bullets in it. And look at the people that are being devoured by their war. Not a word about peace. You're banned from the media. No one's allowed to speak about peace. We're doing everything we can. This is just out from antiwar.com. The State Department approves $165 million in tank trailers for Israel. Heavy-duty tank trailers. $164 million. Israel receives $3.8 billion in military aid each year. Yep. And Biden signed into law authorizing another $17 billion in military aid for Israel in August. The State Department approved a series of weapons deals for Israel worth $20 billion, including $18.8 billion deal for a new fleet of F-15 fighter jets, so they could kill more innocent Palestinians. Go to the mainstream media. Not a word about the Israeli genocide going on. No, some guy in a yacht died, tycoon, what's the princess feeling, how she do? Nothing. Not a word. Israel's ramping up this war. World War III has begun. And it's only going to get worse. Again, all this money going to Israel, interest payments on the national debt in the United States top $1 trillion. According to the Federal Reserve holdings, benchmark rates at their highest 23 years, the government has laid out $1.049 trillion on debt service, up 30% from the same period a year ago, and edging closer to $2 trillion for the full year. $2 trillion in debt. $2 trillion in debt every year. But more money going to the war machine as the country's rotting in front of us. The roads are a joke. The subways at night in Calcutta. Amtrak trains. People sleeping in the streets. Migrants, homeless. People drugged out. But more money for the military-industrial complex. So on the presidential reality show front, they had a debate this week. And both of them are very, 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 very pro-war. Oh, Trump says he's not for the Ukraine war, and he says he's going to end it, but doesn't say how. But on the Israel front, it's a totally different line. Yep. So they asked, this is what Harris said. What we know about the Israel war, it must end it immediately. And the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal, and we need the hostages out. And we will continue to work around the clock on that. How about that for a lot of BS? How long you been hearing this? They give me more money to keep slaughtering the people. And she said that there must be security for the Israeli people in Israel and equal measures for Palestine. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself. In particular, as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. What happened a couple of days ago? The Israeli bombed a military facility in Syria, according to Haaretz, an Iranian-linked military facility in Syria. What gives Israel the right to bomb Iranians in Syria? What gives Israel the right to slaughter any Iranians they want? But when Iran attacks the attacker, they come out with the line that Israel has the right to defend itself. Yep. And then Trump, he said he accused Kamala Harris of hating Israel. Harris, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech, a warmongering freak that got over 50 standing ovations. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She went to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions. And I hope I am wrong. She hates Israel. Yep. And it goes on. Two warmongers running for office. Yep. This is from Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper. No entry. Foreign war correspondents say Israel's Gaza travel ban compromises accurate independent reporting. Unlike countries like Russia and Syria, Israel claims to be a liberal democracy. But in Gaza, which Israel closed off to journalists since the start of the war, that's almost a year ago, October 11th, reporters are left having to rely on social media, phone interviews, satellite photography, etc. It's like something like trying to report from space, said one. Israeli journalists are never permitted to enter the Strip independently. On and on. The murder incorporated just keeps going on. Israel's strike kills 64 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip just 2 days ago. But it's big news when hostages are killed. But you could slaughter all, again, totally opposed to that, of course. But you could slaughter all the Palestinians you want, and this doesn't make the headline news. And if it does make any news, it's buried in the back, and it's written in ways that do not define the crisis that's going on. You need an example? This is Thursday's Wall Street Journal. Gaza's students learn in tents and shelters. Gaza's students learn in tents and shelters? What are you talking about? They're suffering. Their homes have been bombed to obliteration. Gaza's been destroyed. And Israel kills 64 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip. Strikes in Gaza on Wednesday included the bombing of a U.S. school turned shelter for displaced Palestinians. And they bombed a tent city. And they have a moronic article like this. Every school in Gaza has been closed, according to the United Nations. And many Gaza school compounds are being used to shelter nearly 2 million Palestinians displaced by the war. Oh, yeah? They bombed over 2/3 of the schools. Hamas is hiding in them. That's the line that they use. Hamas is hiding in all these buildings that they destroyed. No blowback. Nope. None. Not from the United States media. And both the Republicans and Democrats support the war. That's all they do. Yep. We have more here. This is from the New York Times. It's past Wednesday. Palestinian militants in West Bank flex new capabilities. In the shadow of the war in Gaza, conflict in the Israeli-occupied West Bank has intensified, with Palestinian attackers carrying out bolder and more sophisticated assaults as the Israeli military increases the scope of its raids on Palestinian cities. Oh, you're a militant when you have an invader that is illegally occupying the West Bank in violation of the Geneva Convention and Article 242 of the United Nations. When you fight back, you're a militant. In this article, Israel's on Sunday, killed 3 Israelis on Sunday at a heavily fortified West Bank border crossing, came after 3 recent attempts by Palestinian militants to set off car bombs in the territory. They call it a territory. Illegally stolen land. Patrick Kinsley wrote this. You should be ashamed of yourself. But of course, the New York Times, they call themselves the paper of record when all it is a toilet paper of records of propaganda. Militants in the West Bank say the fighting in Gaza, that's 3 militants. Oh, by the way, Israel has killed over 600 people in the West Bank since the Hamas war began. Goes on. Analysts partly attribute the militants, increasingly militant. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do we have here? To Palestinians, the Israeli raids only increase Palestinian animosity toward the Israeli occupation and have done little to temper the militants' abilities. After the Israeli military pulled back from Jenin last week, a squad of several dozen militants, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 7. So if somebody broke into your home and made you a prisoner, and you fought back, according to the Kinsley boy, you're a militant. You got it? They're not militants. They don't condemn Israel for violating the Geneva Convention and UN Article 242. They don't condemn Israel for going in there and slaughtering the people in the West Bank, demolishing their homes, their businesses, and killing whoever they want. And then, of course, the Ukraine war is heating up. This is from the Financial Times, and it's Putin came out, and he said basically that the United States and NATO will be at war with Ukraine, with Russia, because Putin lifting Ukraine missile restrictions would put NATO at war with Russia. He said this would be a significant way to change the very nature of the conflict. It would mean that NATO countries, the US, European countries, are at war with Russia. If that's the case, then taking into account the change of nature of the conflict, we will take appropriate decisions based on the threats that we face. Again, this is the comments that came after this little Anthony Blinken boy, who plays the Secretary of State of the United States, and his little clown boy over there from the UK, David Lammy. They had gone to Ukraine, to Kyiv, and they're saying that they're going to be lifting restrictions for long-range weapons so that they could have Ukraine strike deeper into Russia. So just escalating the war. And again, we're doing everything we can to stop this. It's up to we the people. Again, look at the cover of your Trends Journal magazine, this week's. Politicians want war. People want peace. Please come to the rally on September 28th in Kingston, New York. This is the most historic Four Corners in America. The seeds of democracy were sown here. And that's where we're having the rally. John and Crown Street. If you're coming from the city, you could take the Trailways bus up. It drops you up right off the corner. You take the train up Rhinecliff, and you take a Uber across. A couple of minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. We're right off the New York State Thruway. It's easy to get here. So that little Blinken boy said he and a clown from the UK Foreign Secretary, they would report back to their bosses after talks with Zelensky. And he goes on to say, the escalator here is Putin. No. The escalator is the United States and Europe. Because if they didn't keep supporting this war, it'd be over. And again, people have no idea about how this began. It's in your Trends Journal back in 2014, how the United States overthrew the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych in Ukraine and caused this war, nor do they have any recall of the deal made between Gorbachev when the Soviet Union broke up and the United States that NATO would not move 1 inch further. There were 16 NATO countries then, and now there are 32. I believe in the founding fathers. That's why I have the most historic 4 buildings, 3 of the 4 buildings in Kingston, New York, the only place in the United States with pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings. And I bought them because the seeds of democracy were sown here. In George Washington's farewell address, don't love a nation, don't hate a nation. If you do, you become a slave to them. And don't become involved in these foreign entanglements. They've been going on for centuries, and we're not going to fix it. We're only going to make it worse. And America has. They've denounced the founding fathers. They've abolished much of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And we, at the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice, are doing everything we can to bring back life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So please support us. Go to occupypeace.com, occupypeace.com, or the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. And these are tax-deductible donations. We need your help. United we stand, divided we die. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you up here in Kingston. Amen and amen.